I have the time to make 2 videos this week, right? And I'm going to post this video on Monday on TikTok, Tuesday on what, like, and you can find a way to spread it. What happens though now is that you've got a consistent flow of content across all your channels. You're not going crazy trying to build multiple versions of each video just to try and manipulate and get around any like suppression you might get from the algorithm. You just have to be smart about how you schedule it.
Welcome to Synapse Sessions, the show where we dive deep with experts who are changing the game in e-commerce. Today's episode is going to be incredibly valuable for anyone selling on Amazon or running a DTC brand that wants to dramatically increase their conversion, performance, and reach through video content. I'm joined by Justin Willhite, a true UGC and video content specialist with over 10 years of content creation experience, working with some of the most talented creators and biggest brands in the e-commerce ecosystem. After helping countless brands showcase their products through high-quality user-generated content and strategic video campaigns, Justin serves as the senior influencer marketing manager at Twitch, while also running his own video production company, Comquest.io. In this session, we break down the data-driven video strategies that actually move the needle on social platforms, exact multi-platform posting schedules that prevent algorithm suppression, why behind-the-scenes content converts better than polished product photos, and even some secret tactics and scheduling hacks that could help drive big results in today's crowded social marketplace. Whether you're struggling with inconsistent video content, overwhelmed by the idea of posting across multiple social platforms, or just looking to refine your already successful strategy, you won't want to miss the actionable insights Justin is about to share. Let's jump into the session. I'm sure our viewers are going to want to know a little bit about your journey to where you are now with your business and founding Comquest, and kind of what led you to specialize in video content for e-commerce brands.
Yeah, so it's kind of a long story, so I'm going to condense it into a smaller story here. But ultimately, I've been a YouTuber and a content creator for, gosh, probably close to almost 10 years. I work at Twitch also. So if the viewers know what Twitch is, we're the largest live streaming video platform on the planet, owned by Amazon. So I work at Twitch. I'm the influencer marketing manager globally for Twitch. So I do all of our influencer placements and things like that throughout our marketing activations and stuff. But then, so basically, I've been creating content for almost as long, actually a little bit longer than I've been working at Amazon or at Twitch. And what I started doing is I started a tech channel back, when I first started out. And so, I saw so many reviews and things like that. I was like, you know what, I could probably do a tech review. I've seen enough of these. I know how to do this stuff. So I started making videos, started going really well, started getting some brands reaching out and sending me products and things like that. And, kind of one thing led to another, and it really kind of turned into this really neat little side hustle that I had going on, right? I was working a full-time job and kind of doing my thing and making, review videos, getting free products. Then I jumped into the affiliate program on Amazon, started making affiliate commissions, started doing really well there. So Amazon reached out and we're like, hey, we're doing this influencer program. What if you started posting all your videos on Amazon as well for these products? And I was like, all right, that sounds good. So I started doing that, started making even more commissions, and things were going really well, making a lot of content, super fun, still working at Twitch, doing all that kind of stuff. And about 4 years ago, I kind of it's like one of those moments where you're like, hey, you know what? I bet I could maybe even turn this into a business, right? Like, can I sell this influencer video service to brands? So instead of them sending me product and me making videos, and like, can I use this as a way to help promote them, right? And do that kind of stuff. So anyway, so I kind of productized it and I launched Comquest. And so that became kind of the first iteration of our video production company. And we were doing influencer video, PPC ads, branded content, all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of grew from there. We got a lot of clients. We white labeled agencies, working with agencies. And basically we were making video that was really focused on helping brands on Amazon convert when people actually showed up on their listings. And then we started doing video optimization, audits on brands and helping them figure out what video they were missing and how to do better video, and kind of just took off from there. And so that's how I ended up in the e-com space. And we've been making those types of videos and working with brands and agencies now for 4 years. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like you have a ton of experience and very well qualified with video at this point. I guess, to dig in a little bit more, like, what are some of the key differences between effective social video content and traditional advertising that brands need to understand?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the differences are kind of starting to become more obvious, I think, as we go along. I think the consumers are starting to respond more openly to non-overproduced content, right? Like we're watching brands slowly but surely come down from those massive video shooting budgets and those huge commercial style shots. Obviously, those are still really important, right? There's, brands that have to kind of play on a certain level, but what we're finding on, like, especially on all the social platforms, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and all that kind of stuff, and then on Amazon, and Amazon is indicating it with the fact that, like, they're making their influencer program even bigger. There's more video on more listings in the carousel and down below, and so they're indicating that the stuff is working, right? And then you just kind of see it. I mean, if you go through and you look at, like, the success of TikTok Shop, right? TikTok Shop videos are not produced videos. They're just regular everyday people talking about the product that they got, right? And that's what's converting. And so I think that's the big thing that I think a lot of brands, especially on the smaller side too, I think that is makes them nervous, is like, well, trying to get video done and do ads and get our voice out there, we feel like we have to spend a lot of money to produce this, like, branded content, right? And I think they're overthinking it. They're kind of stuck in this, like, historical thought of, like, what an ad or what a piece of content should look like. And realistically, it's just working with influencers and UGC creators and just everyday people and creating content that feels real as opposed to, like, manipulated and, like, a controlled message. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess a few things there, like, how do brands adapt their video content strategy across different platforms? How do they repurpose? Is there a strategy? What is the strategy there to do that?
There's definitely some strategy to that. So I think the big thing, because that's one of the things that we, as of last November, started doing, and that's primarily what we're focused on now, is actually doing social video for brands, right, at scale. So exactly what we're talking about is what we're kind of focused on as far as for Comquest side, and so we have a really good handle on what I'm talking about here. So I think the big thing is you don't necessarily have to cater the content, like the actual video, to the individual channels if you're playing in the same algorithm spaces. And so what I mean by that is, like, TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, right? Those are organic, AI driven, like, algorithm based feeds, right? And so basically people are just flipping through there and stuff's landing in their feed. And that's what's nice about that, is it removes a lot of the shackles that are required on, like, there's a lot less optimization that's required for you to actually potentially get viewership, right? Like, there's like, you got to get your hashtags right and your captions correct, and you got to get your tags and your thumbnails got to be good on all these regular platforms to get people's attention. People are just flipping through this stuff. So everybody's video, as long as you're throwing your content into the sea, has the opportunity to show up on people's feeds. And so there's a lot of freedom there. And so one of the things that we do is, for example, when we work with a brand, we create, a video for them. We'll post that same short video across all of those social the platforms, right? But there's some nuance to that, because you don't want to post, like, the same video on the same day on all 4 platforms with the same caption and the same thing, right? Because what I think a lot of people don't realize is that TikTok, like, they know how to monitor, like, the other platforms, right? Facebook knows, like, if you have a channel, if your channel is Joe Schmo on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, they know that, right? They know that you are on multiple platforms. And if you post a video and they're like, cool, there's that video that he posted, oh, look at that, he posted it on all 4 platforms as well. Well, you can actually, they will kind of like, nah, we want exclusive content, right? Every platform wants exclusive content. So you have to be careful on how you do that. So the way that we've kind of worked out trying to get around that and helping with that is, like, video 1 we'll post on YouTube on Monday, and we'll post that video on TikTok on Wednesday. And then on next Tuesday, we'll post it on Instagram, right? But then that same day, we're going to be posting 4 videos across all the channels every day, just a different video with a different caption on a different platform. And it just, you'd be surprised how much that actually helps you get around that usage of that same content across multiple platforms. So that's a big one that I think a lot of people don't realize.
Hey, really quick, enjoying these insights? Don't miss out on future episodes with more expert advice on how to grow your brand. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated with Synapse sessions. We release new content every week to help your business succeed. Now back to the session. Okay, so so it's valuable to also stagger the days that you actually post on the different platforms, or could you also have a strategy where you just have a different video planned also? Is that a
You can, yeah, no, for sure. And so it what this is there's a lot of thought that you have to think about the strategy behind it, but then also like the realistic execution of it, right? Because that's kind of the barriers. So I'll back up just a little bit. One of the way that I've structured our social media service is to kind of break down barriers for D2C companies to be able to do this at scale, right? And the reason why I'm telling you this is because it kind of plays into what I'm going to talk about next. So the barriers that we see and the reason why we created it is obviously cost, right? Doing video on a regular basis consistently on all of those social channels, right, can be very expensive, right? So that's one reason why a lot of D2C brands don't do it, right? Marketing companies are expensive. Video production companies are typically expensive. We found a way to kind of reduce that barrier, right? The other barrier then is well, if I can't afford it, I have to do it myself, right? And so now I got to create content. So now I got to have skill, ability, and I have to have the drive to do it consistently, right? And that's really hard to do. Burnout is like, I mean, that's the first thing they run into. They're going to do it consistently for a while, and then it becomes a lot of work, right? And so if you're not doing it consistently, like you said, well, yeah, I mean, if you want to make 5 videos and then you've got to figure out how to post one video here and another video there, and I'm doing this, like it gets exhausting. That's a lot of content you're talking about here, right? So if you have the right mindset and you go, okay, I have the time to make 2 videos this week, right? And I'm going to post this video on Monday on TikTok, Tuesday on what, and you can find a way to spread it. What happens though now is that you've got a consistent flow of content across all your channels. You're not going crazy trying to build multiple versions of each video just to try and manipulate and get around any like suppression you might get from the algorithm. You just have to be smart about how you schedule it. But that's also a lot of work. And so there's a lot to it. And those are kind of the barriers that a lot of people run into. Yeah.
Okay, so it seems like no matter what platform, do you recommend, scheduling it out on different times, whether even if it's like LinkedIn or Facebook as well, and
Don't
YouTube,
post the
all those.
same video on the same day on multiple platforms. That should just
Gotcha.
that's the basis right there. So like,
Okay, no matter what platform.
this video right here, Monday on TikTok, Wednesday on Facebook, next week on Instagram, and like next Thursday on YouTube Shorts, right? And like but then that same day you can post another video, right? So like then you get video number 2 and you post that on Instagram on Monday, and so like if you think about it, you want to have something going out on some channel all the time. Just don't do them on the same day, that kind of stuff, if that makes sense.
So I
Try and
guess,
figure that out.
I'm assuming, you've like tested it various times trying to do it all on the same day, and it just like completely failed.
It doesn't completely fail, right? You're going to still
Okay.
get you're going to get the people that have followed your content, that follow your channel, for example. But if you're trying
Okay.
to get like organic spread, no, you've got to be really, really creative and careful and make sure you're using different, completely different captions on the different platforms and the different files and stuff like that. There's a lot to it. And so we have people on our team that specifically know how to do this, and they just, they can schedule a calendar out in no time. But there's some management to it. It's not as simple as just like post video, all my channels, go. You can do
Okay.
that. It's just not going to work out probably the way that you're hoping it will. Yeah.
Gotcha. And I guess, you mentioned, it can be a ton of work and time investment, et cetera. Like for someone, maybe they just started a brand on Amazon. They're only selling on Amazon right now. They're just getting started. Like at what point should they maybe look at investing in video or going into UGC and trying that route?
I mean, not trying to like say, trying to sound too strong on this. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do it immediately. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's really one of the biggest drivers out there right now is social proof and social discovery. And I think when you're looking at these short vertical channels, the fact that they're algorithm driven means that you have a ton of opportunity with no paid, advertisement behind it to just immediately get viewership, right? To get somebody learning about your product that didn't know about it 2 minutes ago, right? And it's like, that's the beauty of these platforms and of these channels, is that, obviously you've got PPC on Amazon, right? It's pay to play. You just gotta keep putting money into the system. UGC, the investment is the creation of the content and the creation of the channels and kind of getting all that stuff set up. But then once you post the content, it's out there for anyone to find and see. And, if you got a good description and you got your tags right, and you're out there kind of talking to people and, engaging on the platform and stuff like that, you will get viewership, and you will see people that will discover your product, right? It's, it starts off kind of slow, and it can, sometimes kind of build. But if you're putting out consistent content, you have just as much opportunity as anybody else for a video to get picked up by, if it indicates well that this is a video that people want to see. TikTok, Instagram, all those platforms are just going to run with it and just give you a ton of viewership, right? And that there's a lot of data out there that shows there's direct correlation and total bleed over directly onto these e-commerce platforms. Because if someone sees something they want, they're gonna go find it, right? That's just the way and it's so easy to find it these days. Like, if you've got a cool name on your product, throwing it into Google really quick after you watch a TikTok video will take you right to your Amazon listing, so I think it's super important. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people will immediately go to shop for whatever on Amazon.
I do it all the time. I do it all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
That said, with the various platforms, and maybe they should just get started right away. If try to get some sort of video to maybe help their launch, for example. Is there a specific platform or platforms that they should start with and focus on?
Well, the nice thing is and you'll find, I think, pretty much across the board, everybody's got a Facebook and an Instagram, because you have to have a Meta account to do Meta ads, and everyone's doing Meta ads. So you already have two platforms that you've probably set up without even really thinking about it, right? So those are a great place to start. And then TikTok obviously is TikTok. The problem is that is just a super congested video marketplace. But then you've got YouTube Shorts, right? And I'm super strong on YouTube Shorts right now. I think it is a huge opportunity. It's like there's not a lot of people activating right there. There's not a lot of brands on there that are fully into the mix there. So there's a lot of opportunity there. What it comes down to, though, is if you're going to create content for Facebook Reels and Instagram Reels because you already have them, you just make a TikTok and you make a YouTube and you just post those videos there as well, right? So I think it's more of it's either all or none. I think are your two options. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't do all of them. And then depending on your product, Pinterest is an option as well. You can throw Pinterest in there. There's YouTube, TikTok, X is slowly becoming a much more. They have a full video button now. You click the video and it's a full scribe. So once you have that content being made, right, any vertical short platform is fair game. You know what I mean? And you get a good social media scheduling tool like Social Champ or Hootsuite or all those other big ones out there, and it takes 2 seconds for you to post across all those channels at the same time, right? And then you open up the calendar mode and you just move them around. You just because if you upload one video file, it's gonna all be boom, here on Monday, here's all the descriptions, here's all the videos. Then you just drag them to different days, and you basically just did exactly what I told you to do, right? Don't post that same video on the same day. It's simple. It really isn't that difficult. It's the video creation and the management of it all that can start to be a bear.
Nice. Yeah. And so that's kind of leading into my next question is the video creation. I know that can be pretty difficult, and you could make a video, but you want it to be good. So yeah, when it comes to that, maybe identifying a influencer partnership, or what does that kind of look like as far as creating good content?
Yeah. So I think the first thing, so there's a few things. Yeah. Obviously trying to find a place to get content done at a reasonable price that fits in your budget. That's going to be a big one, right? Unless you want to try and jump in and do it on your own. I'm not saying anybody can't do it on their own, because I've worked with a lot of companies that have really good social content and they create it themselves. I think part of doing that is figuring out what the content actually is. One of the things that I always try and explain to smaller D2C brands before we start working with them and trying to get an idea of what kind of content people want to see everybody leads with their product being the main focus of the content, right?
Hmm.
And if you think about that, that's obviously when I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking marketing, right? I got to sell my product, right? And that's the first thing that everybody thinks of is I got to just show my cup, the cup that I sell. That's the thing I got to, in every video, I'm talking about the cup. And that's great. But I like to explain things is that everything that happens before the cup is the content that a lot of people want to see more than they care about your actual cup. So what I mean by that is manufacturing process. How do you source materials? Like, why did you make it? Like, what does it look like? What are the different colors it comes in? Why is it special? Not just like, hey guys, this is my cup and it's so awesome. Check it out on Amazon and Facebook and or like that's you can't have a feed full of content like that, right? It just gets that no one's gonna follow a channel that is just constantly all it is. Every single video is a sell, right? Like nobody wants that. What you have to consider is with these short social channels, where are these people? Right? Where are they sitting right now watching this content? The vast majority of them, if they're like me, they're in the dark, in bed, flipping through content, right? Am I wanting to just be sold a cup at like 11 o'clock at night when I'm getting ready for bed? No. But if you're going to tell me, if you're going to do like almost like a short video of like how it's made, do you remember that show on TV, how it's made? They like walk you through how like, here's how hammers are made. And you're like,
Yeah.
do you watch a 45-minute show about them making hammers and not end up buying a hammer at the end? You know what I mean? Like, it's just that like dopamine that like, I just want to learn something. So if you can show them how you do this, that becomes the sell itself, right? They buy into the actual product, and then maybe they follow your channel. Maybe they click the link and go to the profile and click on the website. And then now they're in your sales funnel, right? Like, getting the right type of content is really important, and it's not as hard as I think a lot of brands think it is. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But maybe we could break that down more. Like if they're wanting to do it on their own, like what tools should they make sure they have to do it? And
Yeah.
what kind of like basic structure should they think about for
Yeah.
doing the content?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're talking about basic tools, I think what most people don't realize is audio is the key. Like that's a really, really, really big one. If your audio is bad, if your voice is hard to hear, if it's like that's going to be an instantaneous breaker. Microphone little bundles like one, and I'm not sponsored by them. It's not an ad, but like for example, like this one, it's made by a company called Boya, and it looks like basically like a pair of headphones, but this plugs into the bottom of your phone, right? And then this clips on your shirt. And the quality out of this little portable unit on your phone is like shockingly good, right? Something like that to just immediately make your audio quality, your voice talking, like almost professional is like it's so cheap to do, right? It's very, very easy. Phones have all the camera that you need, in my opinion, for D2C content. You have everything that you need. We use phones for a vast majority of the content that we create in our studio, even. So your phone isn't enough. And then realistically, it just comes down to finding a cool place to shoot the content, right? Doing it right on site, as raw as it can be. Like if you're talking about how we grow the beans that go into the coffee bags, right? Dude, you better be sitting in a coffee bush, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like be there showing that, you know what I mean? Like talking about it, and then talk about stuff that like seems really boring and mundane to you, right? Like you're a coffee farmer. You've been a coffee farmer forever. Like the fact that we use this tractor to harvest the coffee beans is not interesting to me. It's interesting to every other person on the planet though, right? Because we've never seen like that. So that's the kind of stuff. So thinking about like the real interesting part of the actual production is the big one. I think, trying to hook people is a really big thing that you'll see a lot of people talk about. So like the first opening statement, the opening shot, right? Like what you're doing and what you're talking about needs to be immediately like presented right up front, and there's a lot of ways to do that, but it's really about just kind of getting started and figuring out like what are the inner workings of what we do that would be interesting to other people. And there's a lot of opportunity there. And then just making sure you sound good and that you look reasonably good with your camera quality. And then it's really that simple, I think, to getting started on your own.
Okay, nice. And then maybe if someone is like, they just they don't want to do it on their own, or maybe they already have a full plate. Maybe they're a more established brand and they're like, yeah, we just need somebody else for this. Maybe that's where you guys could come in. And what would that look like? How would you help them, like a more
Exactly.
established
So
Amazon
that's
brand?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we do. So we, like the clients that we work with, they send us their product. We keep it, we store it here, so we always have their product on hand, right? And then we come up, we have all the script writing, we come up with all the concepts, the branding stuff. If they have logos and music and fonts and things they want us to use, we can infuse all of that. Like we can do more, and then we'll go out and we do drone work, we do B-roll shots, we basically can produce the entire content for them. And then, we also have the ability to do the posting and scheduling as well. So we will do everything that kind of a brand needs, if they need it, right? And then, from a price point perspective, we're extremely aggressive. I think we're one of the lowest prices you'll probably find kind of in the space for the type of content that we create. But we that's one of the focuses was basically to help reduce all those barriers that I talked about: cost, skill, ability, time, right? Like that's kind of what we've built this to do. But it's really, really kind of easy, and we figure out, you kind of come to us and you say, hey, how often do we want to post a week? Yeah, I want to post 2 videos a week. Great. Here's how much that would cost. Here's how we would do it. Send us your products. We do all the shooting, editing, put it all together. We can do all the scheduling, and bing, bang, boom, you're up and running. So
Nice.
it's very, very straightforward. There's influencer platforms out there, which I think a lot of people are very aware of now. Like, they're very hit and miss. There's a lot of nuance to using those. They don't necessarily always produce exactly what you're looking for. And they won't use necessarily the assets you already have. So for example, if you've got a brand, you've already done a bunch of video shoots and photos and stuff like that, we can infuse all that into your content that we make, right? So we can keep it very on brand and be very creative and very flexible with what you're trying to do and how much you're trying to do to kind of fit it into a budget, or kind of go whatever direction you're trying to go with social. Just if you've identified you want to do social video, that you need to do it consistently. That's kind of those are the first 2 check boxes, and we totally can help you. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Nice. And I guess, do you have your own network or connections with influencers, or how does that work if they want?
We don't. So we're not an influencer group. So what I mean by that is we're not in the business of, because there's so many out there. There's influencer platforms everywhere. We don't do, like, if you wanted us to put you in connection with influencers who are going to make the video and then post it on their channels, that's not what we do. We are helping D2C brands bolster their own channels. That's kind of the focus there. But we do have multiple people that come in, that do the voices and the video and the clips and things like that. We go to different locations. We diversify the content, but we don't do influencer stuff from that perspective, if that makes sense. We are here to help a D2C brand get their channels under control and get those ones working for them, not outsourcing it to other people who are going to potentially get the benefits of the videos that they create, and you get obviously the exposure. This would, the content we're going to create is helping that brand kind of formulate their own client basis and their own profile basis across social.
Okay, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
How do you see AI coming into the picture and influencing things now, and kind of the future of production?
Yeah. AI is a tricky one. I have a lot of thoughts on that. So I'll jump off with saying that our stance on AI is that we currently have not and don't have really any plans to create net new assets using AI technology. So generative AI. So what that means is, like, there's a million platforms out there. Everybody's racing towards, like, hey, just give us a picture of your product and then tell us what you want it to do, and we'll make this amazing clip of it happening, right? And super cool stuff, really cool technology. It's not quite there yet. There's a lot of weird things that can happen when you do that kind of stuff. The problem that I see is, in the first place that I've seen this is on YouTube Short. Like when you upload a YouTube video, you put in the description and the title, and you kind of go through all these options. Like, do you want to run ads on it? Do you want to do all this stuff? One of the features one of the check boxes, I should say, that they've recently added is a yes or no that basically says anything in this video not happen in real life, right? Like kind of offhandedly asking, is anything generated by AI that didn't really happen? So like when your soda can comes out of the ground because of whatever, right? In the video clip, that didn't happen in real life, right? And so if you say yes, like something in this video didn't happen in real life, I don't know if they're doing anything with it now, but that's already setting them off to say, okay, there's AI manipulated content in this video, right? That is in my opinion, a potential future suppression metric, right? If there's too much AI content that's flooding the marketplace, customers rely, their trust in the content that they're seeing starts to diminish, right? Will the platform start to suppress AI content? Probably so, right? Or maybe there'll be a notification at the bottom of every video that says AI generated content present, right? Like now everybody knows that they're watching this video and there's AI content in here. As a consumer, am I immediately going to be like, I want to skip this one, right? And so I think if they're doing that, I think that's going to start happening across platforms. And so I think if brands are really paying attention, utilizing AI not as little as possible. It's kind of, I don't want to be too strong here, but dude, you kind of see what I'm saying? I think you got to be careful. You got to be careful with it. I think leaning too heavily on it and using it too much as a crutch right now might hamstring you a little later down the road and may get you into an area where you're not getting the results that you were hoping for. We've taken the stance of, sure, we might if we want to show a little B-roll clip of some people walking along the beach because we're talking about summertime thing, right? That's fine. I'll make some generative AI for that, right? So then now I don't have to buy a stock clip, right? Like I can make a generative AI one and it's unique and it's only in this video for this client, right? That kind of stuff makes sense to me. It's the generative stuff you got to be careful of. And I think there's a lot of people that are just saying that that's like the best thing, the greatest thing. I don't completely agree.
Okay. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I've definitely seen that checkbox in the video description or the setup as well. So yeah, something to be careful with there. Maybe use it sparingly, AI, to help with various aspects of the production, but maybe not full on.
Right.
I guess that we're coming to the end here, but that's kind of one of the things I wanted to ask is if we could come up with just really quick some do's and don'ts, maybe for people getting started, if they're looking to create video content for their brand. Maybe give a quick summary of how they should go about it in 2025.
Yeah, for sure. I think first things first, if you're getting started and you're wanting to start kind of, messing around with doing content on social, so absolutely do social content, do social video. You're never going to be ready. So just start making video content, right? First of all, I think a lot of people have this, well, it's got to be perfect before I put anything out. You know what I mean? Like just get started, get doing it. I think, again, step back, step out of your brand owner spot and think about your product from a purely, what do people not get to see about this product? Like what's the stuff that's behind the scenes? Because that's what people love to see. Right? They just love to see that content. So find ways to let people into the process a little bit. And I think you'll be surprised how well that stuff can do. I would say don't get too buried in the branding of the content, right? A lot of brand owners, and I'm the same way, like with social content for my stuff, I've crafted this perfect brand around my product. And I don't want anything to disrupt that. It's got to have the right font and the music and the light's got to come just right, and they get so locked into this nuanced stuff. And that's when you really start to add a lot of time and gets really hard to make consistent content. And it's also not necessarily what people want. So just make it more simple than you think, right? Whatever you're thinking, go simpler and launch with that, right? That's I think one of the biggest ones there. Don't try and I would immediately get yourself a social scheduling tool. Find a tool that's in your budget that handles the platforms that you want to post on and find a way to do that. If you have to find a VA, a virtual assistant online somewhere, get them cheap and have them do all the scheduling and posting for you. That's something that you can definitely do. You will get bogged down with the consistent video posting. You will get bogged down with all that. So try and do as much as you can to mitigate that. Find a company that's in your budget that can help you create content on a regular basis, and help you relieve that. I think that you'll be much better off in the long run. You'll be able to do it consistently. All of these platforms want consistency. If you post twice a week, you've got to post twice a week, every week, right? You can't like, oh, I'll post a video this week and then next month I'll post another one. The algorithm isn't gonna know how to feed you to people, right? So you got to be consistent. So find ways to make it easy for yourself to be consistent. So yeah.
Just to add on to that, what do you, as far as, well, one thing I've heard is maybe it's a good idea to have a few videos in the hopper ahead of time before you even start, maybe to be consistent right off the bat to make sure of that.
Yeah.
Is that a option?
Yeah. And take your, so I guess this is another really good tip that I think would be really good is if you're going to create content and you want, especially if you want to get ahead of it and get yourself kind of prepared, if you think of a topic, so like, hey, here's my vision for this video, make that video 3 times, just say it differently each time a little bit, right? Do 3 takes on it, right? Because you're going to say things a little bit differently. And now you've got 3 videos. One you can post this week, one you can post 2 months from now, and another you can post 2 months from then, right? Same content, just it makes sense. Like I think a lot of people are like, hey, if I make this video where I say this one thing one time, I can never talk about that or show that again. And that's not true, right? Because this video may do really poorly the first time you post it, but in 3 months, you post a video that's very similar on the same topic, actually probably very close to the same script, just edited a little bit differently. That one might just blow up and take off, right? You don't want to abandon content because it's like a one-time use only. No, as long as you spread it out enough and it's not redundant, you can use content multiple times. So allow yourself to create multiple versions of the same video and just schedule it out farther. That helps you, one, with consistency, because now not only do you have a post for this week, you have a post for the first week of June and the first week of November. Done, right? Now, and you do that 6 times, man, you've got almost a full content calendar for 3 months, right? And that's how you give yourself that runway and that time to be able to be consistent and not feel like you're burdened by, shoot, I made 2 videos. Now I got to make 2 more videos next week and then 2 more videos the next week and that, no, set yourself up for success and do as much as you can individual shoot times and go from there.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. A ton of good advice in this short time that we've had to talk about this. I mean, I'm sure we could go on and on for a while longer, but yeah, how can, if people do want to learn more about this, how can they get a hold of you? How can they, chat with you more about it or potentially look into your service?
Yeah, no. So Comquest.io is our website. You can go there. You can find all of the details about our services, some of the examples, and we have a pretty cool looking website. You can reach out to me, JDUBB at Comquest.io. You can find me on LinkedIn, Justin Willhite. You'll find me right away. I feel free to connect with me, send me a DM, happy to chat and kind of get an idea of what you're up to. If you've got a brand and you're like, hey, here's my website and here's my social channels, like, can you take a look and just let me know what you see and like what you would do? Like, I'm happy to do like a little like faux audit and just kind of give you some tips and things like that on what I see and what I would do if I were you, kind of thing. And then we can just chat it out and see if it's something that we can help you with. I think people would be surprised at our price point. So I'll just throw that out there. I think we've had a lot of people that are like, yeah, but how much does this cost? And then they're like, oh, that's not what I expected. So I think we can help a lot of people out there. So if you feel like and even if you've already got channels going and you're like, man, yeah, I can't keep enough content going. We can come in and help, just kind of jump in and help feed more content to you, or take over the reins and kind of run the whole thing ourselves. So reach out, let me know. Happy to help. No pressure sales here. We're just here to help you. If it works for everybody, it works for everybody. So
yeah, nice. Yeah, it seems like definitely worth having a conversation about, especially if they're a brand maybe that already has a full plate. Yeah.
That's what we found. Those are the people that we found that it works great for. Is like, hey, it's me and my brother. We're running this company. I've got 3 people working for me, and none of us can do video on a regular basis. That is exactly who we're there basically to help. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, Justin, I appreciate you coming on. Follow up, do another one in maybe 2026 and see how, or sooner, to see how AI's evolved with video, et cetera.
I'll be watching that for sure. And that's a great topic, and I'm sure everyone would love to hear that. So yeah, but no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And hopefully you all got some value today.